NASCAR's most successful part-timers, David Pearson and Wood Brothers Racing. Both David Pearson and the Wood Brothers Racing had found success in NASCAR previous to ever teaming up. Pearson driving in NASCAR since 1960 and winning since his first career victory at Charlotte in the spring of 1961 in the World 600. He went on to win dozens of races and 3 Grand National, now NASCAR Cup Series championships, won in 1966, 1968, and 1969. The Wood Brothers Racing team had found success on the racetrack in NASCAR, with drivers such as Curtis Turner, Marvin Panch, Firebrawl Roberts, Parnelli Jones, Tiny Lund, Junior Johnson, Speedy Thompson, Fred Lorenzen, and Kelly Yarborough, all who made starts for the team and found success. They also basically created the modern-day pit stop and revolutionized the pit sequence in NASCAR. So much so, in 1965, they were asked to serve as Jim Clark's pit crew in the Indy 500 and help lead him to victory. Well, just in time for Winston to become the new sponsor of the Grand National Series, giving birth to the Winston Cup Series, and nowadays the NASCAR Cup Series, in 1972, officials were tasked with shortening the schedule from upwards of 50 races a season to down around 30, or at least that's how many races they would end up with, once dropping all the midweek races and any dirt tracks left on the schedule. Pearson, who had started running part-time a couple seasons prior, wasn't trying to run full-time anymore, and neither was the Wood Brothers, so it was a great fit. The pair's first race together was the 1972 Rebel 400, held at Darlington in April. At a speed of 148.209 miles per hour, Pearson set that number 21 pure-lader Ford Mercury on the pole. In the race, they led 202 laps, out of a total of 293 laps, including the final 93, on their way to winning their first start together. From there in 72, they would make another 13 starts, for a total of 14 altogether, that first season. Either Leonard or Glenn Wood served as Pearson's crew chief while he drove the number 21 Ford. Pearson would start first 3 times, at Atlanta in July, then Charlotte and Rockingham in the fall. His best finish was first 5 times, at both Michigan races, Talladega in the spring, Daytona in the summer, then Dover in the fall. Overall, in 14 starts, David Pearson and the Wood Brothers Racing team scored 4 poles, 6 wins, 11 top 5s, and 12 top 10s, finishing 20th in final Cup Series point standings. After such a strong season in 72, of course, the Wood Brothers and Pearson decided to do it again in 1973. The 1973 season was almost unbelievable. In only 18 starts in a 28-race season, Pearson drove that number 21 pure-lader Ford Mercury to an incredible 8 poles and 11 victories in only 18 starts, meaning that they won over 60% of the races that they started, winning a pole at both Darlington and Dover races, Riverside, Rockingham, and Martinsville in the spring, then Charlotte in the fall. Pearson's victories came in both races in Rockingham, Atlanta, Dover, and Martinsville, then Talladega in the spring, Michigan, and Daytona in the summer, leading for a combined 2,658 laps throughout the 73 season. Overall, in 18 Cup Series starts, they scored 8 poles, 11 wins, 14 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 13th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Once again, David Pearson returned to the Wood Brothers Racing number 21 pure-lader Ford Mercury for the 1974 season, making 19 starts in a 30-race season. The team led at least 2 laps in all but 1 start throughout the season, leading over 1,100 laps in 74. Pearson's best start was first 11 times, at both Daytona, Talladega, Charlotte, and Michigan races, then Riverside, Atlanta, and Dover in the spring. His best finish was first 7 times, at both Charlotte races, Darlington and Talladega in the spring, Daytona and Michigan in the summer, then Rockingham in the fall. Overall, in 19 starts, the Wood Brothers and Pearson scored 11 poles, 7 wins, 15 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. This successful duo had a bit of a down year by their standards in 1975, making 21 starts throughout a 30-race season, winning 7 poles in 3 races, winning their first pole of the 75 season in race 8 at Darlington. not winning their first race until the 12th event of the season, held at Dover. Starting first at both Darlington and Charlotte races, Dover in the spring, Michigan in the summer, and Ontario in the fall. Victories came at Dover in the spring, then Michigan and Pocono in the summer. Overall, in 21 starts, they scored 7 poles, 3 wins, 13 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 14th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. After a bit of an odd year, when Pearson and the Wood brothers won fewer races than the first few seasons that they were together, they returned to their expected level of dominance in 1976, winning 8 poles in 10 races. His best start was first, 8 times, at both Darlington and Charlotte races, Riverside and Michigan in the summer, then Rockingham and Ontario in the fall. Pearson's best finish was first 10 times, at both Riverside, Darlington, and Michigan races, Daytona, Atlanta, and Charlotte in the spring, then Ontario in the fall. Overall, in 22 starts, they scored 8 poles, 10 wins, 16 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 9th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. This would be the final time that David Pearson would finish inside the top 10 in final Cup Series point standings. The following season, in 1977, David Pearson returned to the Wood Brothers Racing number 21 Purelator Ford Mercury to reprise his role as driver for the race team. Making 22 starts in a 30-race season, Pearson set new lows for the number of poles and victories scored in a season while driving that number 21. 5 poles and 2 victories. The 5 poles came at both Charlotte and Michigan races, then Darlington in the spring. The 2 victories came at Riverside in the spring and Darlington in the fall. Overall, in 22 starts, they scored 5 poles, 2 wins, 16 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 13th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. The 1978 NASCAR Cup Series season would be Pearson's final entire season that he would spend driving for the Wood Brothers Racing team. This was a difficult season for the team because in 22 starts, the race ended early 10 times. Pearson did net 7 poles and 4 victories throughout this final season with the team, starting first at both Riverside, Charlotte, and Michigan races, then Darlington in the fall. Pearson finished first at Rockingham and Dover in the spring, then Daytona and Michigan in the summer. Overall, in 22 starts, they scored 7 poles, 4 wins, 11 top 5s, and 11 top 10s, finishing 16th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. The final 5 starts that Pearson and the Wood Brothers Racing team would make as a unit came in the beginning of the 1979 season. Pearson qualified no worse than 9th in those 5 starts. Other than his second-place finish at Riverside, Pearson's best finish was 18th in Atlanta. Both parting ways following the spring race in Darlington. So what the Wood brothers and David Pearson racked up statistically while they teamed up was incredible. In 143 starts, they scored 51 poles, 43 wins, 97 top 5s, and 101 top 10s, with a best points finish of 3rd in 1974. This by far exceeds any other combination to only spend this little of a time period together. Another thing to remember is that they did all this while only running part-time. Once Pearson and the Wood brothers parted ways following Race 8 in 1979, Pearson only made another 60 NASCAR Cup Series starts, winning 6 more poles and 2 more races, finishing inside the top 5 10 more times and the top 10 22 more times, before making his final career Cup Series start at Michigan in the summer of 1986. As for the Wood brothers race team, they have remained a part of the NASCAR Cup Series all the way up to the current day, getting most of their technical support from Roger Penske nowadays. Josh Berry drives that number 21 Ford full-time as of 2025. They even won their 101st race in 2025 and made the playoffs, making 1,339 Cup Series starts since the team and David Pearson parted ways. They have scored, in that same time, 7 poles, 16 wins, 108 top 5s, and 303 top 10s. Realistically, I do not see another part-time combination ever even coming close to how successful this duo was. Thanks for watching, everybody, and take care.